How y'all doing? Redneck Programmer here. So let's get back into it. So last time we set up this try catch finally block, right, y'all? So I've been looking online at a couple of other formulas. So what happens when we have to change up our logic? So one of the things is this logic is going to get us a little bit closer, using a few more variables, a few more parameters for our create class. So let's just take this and let's see if we can implement it. Now, how is this going to change our logic? So what does this simulate? Well, this simulates a horrible customer or client that starts doing what we call scope creep. That means they change their design after you're done developing it, you're testing it, and they say, you know what, we want something different. So how is this going to affect the way we develop and test our code? So let's try this out. So instead of ounces alcohol here, we have something called A. Well, that's just our liquid ounces of alcohol consumed. Now we're going to use a constant 5.14. What is that? So 5.14 is a formula in the conversion factor where 0.823 is used to convert liquid ounces to ounces of weight, and 100 is used for the final percentage. So what this is going to do is this is going to kind of give us an estimate on our ounces of alcohol. Because when you're drinking like a 12-ounce beer that's 5%, well, you're not drinking, it's not 12 ounces of alcohol, right? You're drinking 5% of 12 ounces. So what this is going to do is give us a nice conversion. So now we have some examples down here. We're going to use this as our test data for both of these. So let's get back to it. So weight is W. R is our gender, this constant up here. And then we have an elimination rate, which is 0.017 here. So it's 0.015 here. And then we have our time in hours. All right. So let's see if we can convert this and use what we already got to convert it into something a little more accurate. Well, the first thing I'm going to do down here is I'm going to fix this where we were having the problem where we'd say if it's not a male, then anything else we put in, right? So let's put in female. So we say else if, because you can do if, else, and then you can do if, else if, else if, else if, and then you got machine learning, right? Just kidding. So if the gender dot equals female, then we'll do this. So else we got to do something. So let's throw a new exception. Now we had an exception up here. We got exception E, but there are all kinds of exceptions. What was that exception we were getting earlier? An illegal argument exception, right? So let's throw one of those. Throw new illegal argument exception. All right. Let's leave it like that for now. So let's test it, because we test as we go, right? Make sure it's working. How many drinks have you had? 6. Male or female? Let's test our female. Weight, 180. 2 hours. All right, so we're getting a number. Try catch block completed. So let's do something besides gender. Well, if you look up here, we already fixed that, right? We sanitized our input. That was in a previous video if you want to check back to that one on how we did sanitize our input data. Or validate our input data, excuse me. So now then we're throwing an exception here. All right, this is just to keep us in check. So now let's start changing this up. Well, we're going to have some new variables, aren't we? So this is no longer 3.75, was it? This is now 0.73 and 0.66. All right. No problem. 0.73 0.73, 0.66. Now then, we're going to need some other stuff, right? What else are we going to need? Well, let's break up these calculations, because instead of putting this we could put this one big equation down here and assign it to the result, but let's break it up. And I'll show you in a minute why we want to break it up. Of course, you wouldn't want to always do this, but this is a good example of how this can be a useful development and testing technique. Okay? Helps in debugging. So we're going to say another double. So we have our volume, right? So we got to multiply A, which is our volume, with 5.14. Okay? So let's just say this is our calculated volume. And that's going to be our volume times 5.14. That's it. Now then, what else are we going to do? Well, we got another calculation here. We got our body weight times our gender constant. So let's do double male calculated weight. Well, that's just going to be what? That's going to be our weight, our body weight times male. Now let's just copy that. Put it down here. Call this the female calculated weight. And this would be by female. Now then, we got two different ones here. Now what we got left? We got time calculation, right? Because we have this 0.015 times h, which is our time. So double time calculation is equal to 0.015 times the time passed. All right. Now then, we can get rid of all this, because all we're going to do is we're going to say our calculated volume divided by male calculated weight minus time calculation. What we've done is we've broken up these smaller pieces of arithmetic and assigned them to variables. Now then, we can just copy this and put in our female body weight. All right, let's test it, see if it works. How many drinks have you had? 5. We'll say we're female. Weight in pounds. Been 2 hours. Well, we're getting a number here. But what are we getting? Well, this is passing as 5 calculated ounces of what? So in the next one, we're going to learn how to use the new Java 14 switch statement. We'll look at the old switch statement and the new one, and we'll fix this little problem right here. All right? Thanks, y'all.